GM built a Corvette so extreme that they barely advertised it. Officially rated at 430 horsepower, the 1967 L88 made far more, demanded race fuel, and had a price tag of $5 million, pushing away anyone who tried to drive it like a normal street car. The mid-1960s turned into an all-out power battle, and every manufacturer wanted the biggest numbers, the fastest times, and the most impressive specs to plaster across magazine covers. The Corvette had already proven itself with the C2 generation, bringing clean lines, independent rear suspension, and small block engines, pushing well past 300 horsepower to create a legitimate performance machine. Then, big block engines showed up and changed everything overnight, as power shot past 400 horsepower and factory cars started running 12-second quarter miles straight off of the showroom floor. But there was a problem brewing because insurance companies were raising rates while government regulators were paying attention. Manufacturers had to keep pushing performance while avoiding too much heat, and GM felt this pressure more than anyone. The Corvette needed to stay competitive without drawing the wrong kind of attention, so the solution became clear: build something incredible and keep quiet about it. An option code appeared on the order sheet that seemed unremarkable: L88, and the factory rating said 430 horsepower, which sounded like nothing crazy since other big block Corvettes made similar power on paper. Most buyers would glance right past it, and GM planned it that way, because that engine was making around 560 horsepower and there was no accident or estimation error. GM knew exactly what they had, and the underrated numbers served a clear purpose since insurance companies were crushing high horsepower cars with massive premiums while the public sentiment was turning against street racing and dangerous speeds. Advertising a near 600 horsepower Corvette would have caused some serious problems, so the official numbers stayed conservative while the real performance stayed hidden. The L88 existed for a select few who knew what that code meant, because GM sold power, but they also filtered who could buy it. Once you look past the paperwork, L88 told a very different story. This engine carried 12.5 to 1 compression, which meant that it demanded 103 octane fuel just to run the way that it was designed. That single requirement eliminated casual ownership, and the internals used forged rods and forged pistons designed for sustained high RPM operation. Factory aluminum heads came standard when most engines still use cast iron, while an 850 CFM carburetor dumped massive amounts of air and fuel into the cylinders. The camshaft profile was aggressive and unforgiving, so idle was rough and lumpy while top-end power was phenomenal, though the low-speed manners were terrible. This engine sounded angry sitting still, and everything pointed to one conclusion: this was a competition engine stuffed into a production car. Anyone expecting a smooth, easy driving experience would hate it because the L88 demanded high-octane fuel, careful tuning, and a driver who understood what they were dealing with. Give it what it needed, and it rewarded you, but try to treat it like a normal car, and it punished you. The L88 package went beyond the engine, as GM removed every comfort feature and convenience item that added weight or hurt performance. No heater, no air conditioning, no radio, and not even a choke to make cold starts easier. But these deletions were completely intentional. Every pound mattered and every component had to justify its existence, so if it did nothing for performance, it got cut. This was homologation thinking applied to a street car, and the Corvette came fully realized for its purpose, because nothing was missing when nothing unnecessary was included. The drivetrain matched the engine's aggression perfectly, as the M22 Rock Crusher 4-speed manual used straight-cut gears that howled like a race transmission every time you shifted. The rear differential ran 4.56 gears, so acceleration was explosive, but highway driving became loud and exhausting. Every mechanical choice prioritized power delivery over refinement, which meant that normal street driving felt harsh and uncompromising. Track driving revealed the car's true personality, and past 5,000 RPM, the L88 came alive and showed what it could really do. L88 sales numbers stayed low for obvious reasons because the price climbed well above a standard Corvette at over $6,000 compared to roughly $4,000 for a base model. The aggressive street manners scared off most buyers, while their requirement for expensive racing fuel made daily driving impractical, and insurance companies charged premium rates for high-performance cars. GM never expected mass appeal, and low sales were the goal rather than a disappointment. The L88 existed for a tiny group of drivers who could handle the demands, afford the costs, and appreciate engineering. Rarity was built into the plan from day one, and across 3 production years, only 216 L88 Corvettes were made. Just 20 came from the 1967 C2 model year, and today fewer than half of the original cars survive. The L88 eliminated itself through attrition, surviving only in the hands of dedicated owners who understood what they had. Now, Rarity alone does not explain the legend because the L88 earned its reputation through competition results. From endurance racing at Le Mans to speed records at Bonneville, these Corvettes proved their engineering was legitimate, and every mechanical choice made sense once you saw the car perform where it belonged. Track results validated the harsh street manners and the uncompromising design philosophy. Time turned the L88 into one of the most valuable Corvettes ever made, as a 1967 C2 model sold at auction for $2.65 million, while the rarest examples now approach $5 million. These prices reflect more than age or collectability because they represent hidden capability, performance that few people ever experienced, and a story that stayed quiet for decades. The L88 never appeared in flashy advertising campaigns, and GM never needed to promote it loudly because the car existed for people who understood what raw power in a production Corvette meant. You either knew what you were buying or you had no business ordering one, while everyone else just watched from a distance. The L88 never demanded attention, and its presence was deliberate, calculated, and aimed at those who recognized real performance. This car was never meant for casual buyers browsing dealerships because every component, every deletion, and every choice served a singular purpose: creating a machine that performed at the absolute limit of what 1967 engineering allowed. That quiet capability and deliberately hidden power now commands millions of dollars, while the legend continues growing decades after the first engine fired up. Some cars just know what they are, and the L88 never pretended to be anything else. Subscribe for more stories about machines that rewrote the rules.